Someone You Should Know. A program about people you know and even more that you don't. Hosted by Stuart Sax, veteran, husband, father, and grandfather. Now, here's your host, Stuart Sax.
Welcome to another edition of Someone You Should Know. Very, very glad to have you with us. We're into a new year, and we've got all kinds of exciting things going on right here at KVGI Media. Number one is we're sponsored now. I am so thrilled. We are being sponsored by, actually, it's almost an offshoot of KVGI Radio. It is the brainchild of our own owner and host, Mark Warner, who has started the Living Life Digest. And also the best way to tell you to do this, and I highly want to get this off the ground with Mark, is livelifepodcast.com. Go to livelifepodcast.com. It'll give you all the information about something that Mark has been working on and dreaming about for decades, and he has brought it to reality. I highly promote the show and also ask you to tune in and be a part of his show and his dream of living life. Also, my dear friend Christine Dean, DFW Networking Diva, is sponsoring the show. She is absolutely a hoot and knows everything about connecting you with the people that you want to meet. So you can go to dfwnetworkingdiva.com and you can learn everything about what Christine Dean does and what she can do for you, and you can even get a free consultation with her. Well, welcome to the show. I often have funny shows. Sometimes they're serious. This is one of the serious ones. Number one, I want to start off by saying the intent of this show is not to open any old wounds, but we are going to be talking about the tragedy that happened nearly 3 years ago. It's coming up on the third anniversary at Parkland, at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. One of the 16 victims of that shooting was Alyssa Al-Hadef, and her mother, who became extremely active right from the day, is with me. Lori Al-Hadef, welcome. So happy to have you, my dear friend.
Hi, Stuart.
I'm absolutely thrilled to have you. I am so sorry that it is because of an incident that happened 3 years ago when you lost your lovely daughter. But as I said, I don't want to dwell on old wounds and open old wounds. I want to talk about the activism that you started right from that day going forward. You've got the banner over your head. It's Make Our Schools Safe. You have been a proponent for it. You know, from the time the incident happened, a lot of the students at the high school and all became outraged. They marched on Washington for gun control, for safety in the schools, for reforming how we keep our children safe in schools and all. Where was that fire that you got to say, you know what? I'm going to fight City Hall. I'm going for this, that I have got to do this for myself and for Alyssa.
Thank you, Stuart. So on February 14, 2018, where my daughter Alyssa and 16 others were tragically killed at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, I wanted to turn my grief into action and to make an impact and make a difference so no other mother, parent goes through the pain and suffering that my family experienced with the death of Alyssa, and to actually make change, make our schools safe, make an impact, and know that I can positively change things in the future for other children at school.
And you were not going to take no for an answer. I saw that in your eyes, in your attitude. For those that can remember when this became national news and the cameras started to roll, Lori was one of out there that was absolutely yelling and screaming for change, and you finally, put yourself behind it and formed the foundation and started a lot. You started several things. You started the wheels in motion for safety in the schools, for the institution of I'm sorry, it's escaping me now. The trauma bags that to be instituted in the school.
Stop the bleed kits.
Yes, stop the bleed kits. Thank you. For better reform, for panic buttons in the schools, for anything and everything that could help make the schools safer. And you went to the school board very often, and you yelled and you screamed, and finally you took another step forward on that, and that is you became a candidate for the school board. And your what was the force behind you to do that?
So, Stuart, I knew that in order for me to make a direct impact and change here in Broward County, that I needed to run for the school board, and I did. I won my seat for District 4. So I've been on the school board for about 3 years now. And I know that I am making a difference little by little and making impact on school safety and the mental health for our students, and overall just a better education for our students here in Broward County.
And you went into it, obviously on the ground floor was to make the schools safer in Broward County in South Florida, but your vision was so far beyond that, because you knew that what you could accomplish in Florida had to be like a pebble in a brook. It just had to have a ripple effect. And so you worked with state legislators, and you formed Alyssa's Law. I want you to tell, and before I say that, folks, you're watching this from all over the country. This Alyssa's Law and the meaning behind it and the force behind it is not just for South Florida or for the state of Florida. This is a national movement. And I want all of you to listen very, very carefully. I want you to go to the website, learn more about makeourschoolssafe.org, and get involved on your local and state level too, to make sure that we can get Alyssa's Law become a national law. It's in Congress right now, isn't it? Isn't there a House bill that's been introduced nationally?
So last legislative session, we had 2 bills introduced: the School Violence Prevention and Mitigation Act, which Congressman Ted Deutsch is going to file again this legislative session, and then also Alyssa's Act. So those are 2 federal bills, but we have passed Alyssa's Law in New Jersey and in Florida. So what is Alyssa's Law? Alyssa's Law is a panic button. So in a life-threatening emergency situation, seconds matter. So we need to empower our teachers that if they see something, that they can push a button on their cell phone and it's directly linked to law enforcement, so they can get on the scene as quickly as possible to take down the threat and EMS to come in to triage the victims. We have our fire alarm pull stations. We have our AEDs in schools. What I want to see, make our schools safe, wants to see for our panic buttons to be that next layer of protection in our schools for everyone across the United States. It makes sense. Like our banks, they have panic buttons. They've had that for years. We protect our money. You go into a governmental office, they have their panic button. We need to empower our teachers to have their panic button, to know that if they have someone that is injured, or it could just be, it could be a medical emergency. It doesn't have to be an active shooter situation, that they can press that button and know that help is on the way.
And, it's when all of this started happening years ago, when the schools were breached by active shooters, every time it happened, somebody kept saying, well, we got to do something. And this is a positive step of something that can be done. When I was growing up, we had fire drills. and they would pull the fire alarms, and we'd all have to go into the hallway or out the doors and practice. Now, all of a sudden, we have a generation that has to have active shooter drills at their schools. If there is an upside to what COVID-19 has done, is it's kept a lot of the students out of the schools and in their homes virtually learning. And also, if anything, this is the time for the schools to be doing this panic button installation, starting to formulate the training for their students and for their administrators and for their teachers, so that when they do start going back inside the classrooms and all, it'll be rote. They will know what to do in case of a breach. And you're absolutely right, because in my mind, and I have thought about this over and over and over again. If there is an active shooter breach in a school, if somebody pulls the fire alarm, where are the students going to go? Out into the hallways. And that's right into the sights of that active shooter. So I know that they are starting to work on drills of what to do and how to take care of yourself, how to get out of windows, how to get under desks, and they've started those plans. So is that part of that Alyssa's Law program, in order to make all of that part of the school system's protocol?
So Alyssa's Law is the panic button. And what I want to make sure is that we pass this law in every state, but we also allocate funding to fund the panic buttons. And so it's one piece of the puzzle, right? So school safety, there's a lot of layers to school safety, right? We have school hardening, we have the mental health aspect of school safety, and we have the panic buttons. We also have the Stop the Bleed kits that you spoke about. And we need to keep creating these layers of protections for our schools. And the drills is another important layer of that protection, but also to make sure that there's training for the teachers, training for the students. But we have to balance that training. We have to make sure that we are not just active shooter, everybody, get into the safer space, hide. There needs to be taking into consideration the effect that these drills are having on our students. And we have to be able to teach them how to respond in an active shooter situation, but it might look differently. It might be where the teacher's just talking about it, but then it might be the physical actually of doing it. So we have muscle memory. So the students, when they're in that situation, that fight or flight situation, that they know exactly what to do, where to go, how to respond in that situation. And, on February 14th, my daughter Alyssa was in the first classroom. And unfortunately, she was in the direct line of fire from the door, and the shooter shot directly at her. But I believe Alyssa was still alive, and the shooter went across the hallway, but unfortunately he came back and shot at her again. Alyssa was shot 10 times and she died. But I think, though, if she was empowered of where to go in that classroom to get out of that line of fire from that door, Alyssa was a soccer player, she was an athlete, I know she would have gotten there. And if there was a Stop the Bleed kit, and the teacher or student put a tourniquet on Alyssa's arm and leg, and we had the panic button, Alyssa's Law, and if help was on the way to get there as quickly as possible, I think we would have saved lives that day, and definitely saved lives on the third floor. You talked about the fire alarm going off. Well, that's exactly what happened. That fire alarm did go off, and students did leave their classroom, and unfortunately lives were taken.
Yeah, and that's why obviously the institution of the panic buttons in every school will increase the response time for the authorities to get there and respond to it. Also, teaching not only teachers, school administrators, and everything of how to respond in order to perhaps even take an active shooter situation down early before that shooter does any additional harm. All of these are pieces of a puzzle that has to be put together. All of these things have to work together, and it starts with parents pressuring the school systems. The PTA is pressuring the school systems to institute the panic button program. And having said that, whoever is listening to this show, watching and listening to Lori, and all, she said there's a cost involved with putting in the panic buttons into these schools. Let's get our corporations behind this. There should be an outpouring of corporate interest in our school systems, and all to make sure that this is instituted. Another layer of that also is the video surveillance in all of our schools. I live in a community where every high school and middle school has 24/7 video surveillance. So if something were to happen, the police department is watching. And so it's a double, it works both ways. The school may hit that panic button, but the police department is all of a sudden, they know that school is in session, but there's somebody with a backpack or a trench coat that's walking down the hallway, and they can react. And reaction is what it's all about, is to try and quell any kind of an insurgence. The sooner you do it, the better.
Right. And those cameras that you speak about, there is some that have artificial intelligence where if someone has a gun, the camera can identify that gun and automatically alert law enforcement for them to be able to identify the threat as, very quickly, and then access to law enforcement to come to the scene. But I also wanted to call out that, there's two different types of panic buttons. There's hardwired panic buttons, and then there's an app-based panic button from the teacher's phone. And, I personally like the app-based method because it's more cost-effective for schools to implement, one. And then number two, the teacher can receive information and they can more than effectively respond. So if the shooter's in the cafeteria, then they know that they should be running away from the cafeteria. And then if they have somebody that is injured, they can communicate and let EMS law enforcement know that they have a student that is injured, and therefore they can send help to that area as quickly as possible. And when they press that button on the phone, it's geo-fenced to the area, so they know exactly where the threat is or the help is needed or the threat is coming from, and they can get the eyes on the scene, those cameras, to identify what exactly is going on.
You have a very well thought out plan, and as I mentioned to you before the show started, it appalls me that only New Jersey and Florida have adopted Alyssa's law to date. Nearly going on the third anniversary of this tragedy, and all. I am absolutely shocked that there aren't more states that haven't wrapped their arms around this and put it into motion. And I know that you have this at the federal level, and hopefully this will be the year that it will get passage and Alyssa's law will be put into effect. And that will not only be a huge feather in your cap, and all for getting it off of the ground, but it also will be a huge relief for those family members who unfortunately were involved in this tragedy 3 years ago. On a little bit lighter side of this, this all doesn't just happen by itself. It takes funds, it takes people, it takes involvement, it takes engagement. And you have been involved in all of that, and you have done it through a series of events over the last couple of years. I know you've had tennis events, and you've even got an event coming up soon that people, no matter, you don't have to be in South Florida. Yeah, if you're in South Florida, trust me, participate in this event. I think you'll have a great time with it, but it's a virtual event, so everybody in the country can participate. Lori, tell the folks what it's all about.
Thank you, Stuart. So we are going to have a virtual Live for Alyssa event, which I'm super excited about. We have this amazing producer from New York who's going to be producing it. It's going to be an hour and a half long, and it's going to be jam-packed with action. We have a mentalist, we have a mixologist where we're making a drink, we have an art project, we have different people speaking, we have a musician playing. And when you buy your ticket, you'll get a link to the event, and then you'll also get a box. And our theme is a beach theme, so you're going to get beach in the box, and it's going to be delivered to your house before the night of the event on February 11th, 2021. And so I'm really excited. Please go to our website, makeourschoolsafe.org, to get your ticket. And it helps us make our school safe. The money that is raised will help to go to pass Alyssa's law nationally, so we can provide this standard level of protection in every school across the country.
Very important. Do it. Either right after the show or even while we're on the show, just go to the other site, go to the website and look it over. It's a nominal amount, the cost of your family going out for a dinner to participate in this event. And it's well worth it. And if you're in Seattle or you're in Boise, Idaho, or you're in Colorado, wherever you are, look at this picture. Look at the picture that's on the screen right now. That was Alyssa's favorite saying, and Lori too, and I love it. It's all about having a heart and donate. If you don't want to buy the beach in a box program and all, there's a link right there. It says, I just want to make a donation. But this donation is not just going to Florida. I want to keep saying that over and over again. If you're in Seattle, it's a step to help Washington, the state of Washington, get on board and adopt Alyssa's law so that we can make this a national law. It's so important. I don't often plead with those that are following my show. I am now, because I think that this is important not only for the children, or in my case, grandchildren that are in school, but for the next generation. And every time a new school is being built, hopefully it will go into the plans for that new school that it will include the panic button program, so that it's in place. It's important to our future, for all of our kids' safety now and down the road. There you go. Look at that. I mean, I'm waiting for my box to arrive, and I would encourage people, get on it right now, because if you are elsewhere in the country outside of Florida, the mail system is not as quick as it might be. Do it now so that they can mail out your beach in a box to you, and you'll have it in advance of the event. I am so looking forward to this event. I think it's going to be a great time.
No, thank you, Stuart. And the other thing that your donations go to is Make Our School Safe clubs, which you could start in any high school across the country, because we want to empower our students to help create a culture of safety within their schools. And the Make Our School Safe clubs we have them all over the country, and they've been so amazing to help school safety at their school. And if you're interested, you can go to our website, makeourschoolsafe.org, send us an email, and to create a club, it's free. We actually provide a $500 gift card to the club to help with their activities. And, it's just so important. The kids, they're on their Snapchat, they're on their Instagram. They know exactly, who the threats are, what's going on. And we want to make it cool for the kids. If they see something, say something, and they are empowered to report it. I say your voice is your power. And so we want to empower our students to create that culture and make their schools safer.
Yeah, and also, don't wait for this to happen from the government level. It has to happen from the grassroots level. Which leads me to another question. I know that after the tragedy, there was an outpouring and an upswelling from the students at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. Many of them went to Washington and rallied for it. Do you still keep in touch with some of those students, and do they keep in touch with you and with the organization?
No, I have some students that are in college right now, and they are creating, fundraisers at Chick-fil-A to help support Make Our Schools Safe. They really are continuing on to focus, Make Our Schools Safe. We just focus specifically on school safety. We're not focusing on the gun issue. And but for me, it works, and I know that I can accomplish things. It's not polarizing. Everybody agrees that we want to make our schools safe. And those students are a big part of the organization, and through the Make Our Schools Safe clubs across the country, they also help to bring my organization, our initiatives to their school. But most importantly, we want to change the culture in the school, and we do that by these students making this a priority.
And it's a great, a partnership for the local schools and all to get with some of their community leaders. You mentioned Chick-fil-A, and maybe get a little bit of a program going where these companies can donate to the school safety issues and the Make Our Schools Safe .org. I know my dear niece and all Jordan Lanson and all was a good friend of Alyssa's. They played soccer together, and she actually works at Chick-fil-A now and loves every minute of it. and to Tracy and Adam, my niece and nephew, and all, they were incensed right from the get-go, and they have been behind this. I understand you still stay in touch with them. You just had dinner with them recently. I hope to see them very, very soon too. But, they're just one family that says, I'm never going to forget this. I'm going to continue to support it. And whatever Lori is doing, we're behind her 100%. This has got to be a grassroots thing. I'm so pleased that you're empowering a lot of students on the high school and even the college levels to make sure that their schools are safe, and to work through fraternities and sororities and through the high school clubs and everything to say, this is one of the things we're going to wrap our arms around. And we want to promote, and then go out in the community and say to the community corporations and schools, the eateries. I mean, gosh, I can just imagine going to all the fast food restaurants and saying, hey, look, would you be willing to donate 25 cents per sandwich and everything to make our schools safe? You know how many millions of dollars could be raised if people just rallied around that and did it. So, the ball is rolling, and Lori, you were the one that took the first kick of that ball, and you're still working through the school boards, also empowering other people to become active. And I can't imagine that there's anything more important than getting parents active in this program, getting active in this national push to get Alyssa's Law adopted in all 50 states and the District of Columbia, and go beyond that, all of our territories.
No, that's absolutely. And if you send me an email through our website, you can get our email address. It's just so helpful to have other people support the mission, support Make Our Schools Safe. I had somebody in New York who wanted to do a run for school safety event. And so it was a virtual event, and we ended up raising about $2,000. And, so everyone can do their part. And, just if you know an elected official, talk to them about Alyssa's Law, talk to them about the panic buttons and how we can get Alyssa's Law in your state. And please reach out to me, because the more people that I have helping me, the more, faster we can actually get this done. Because, we're in COVID now, but eventually all our students will be going back to school full time. And you know what? They're going back with a lot of mental health issues from being socially isolated at home because of COVID. And unfortunately, you know, the next school shooting might be being planned, and we want to prevent that from happening. And by, you know, just making sure that if you see something, please say something, and know that you will make a difference and will make an impact and will change the, you know, unfortunate events that could possibly happen.
You know, and I think it's safe to say that hindsight is always 2020, but we can learn from those past experiences. You know, how many times have we seen one of these tragedies and one of the neighbors of the shooter has come out to say, well, you know, he was always acting a little strange, or, you know, I understand he was posting things on Facebook and that he owned a gun and he shouldn't have because he's got a little bit of maybe a little bit of a mental issue. All of a sudden, all of the triggers, I apologize for using that word, but the things that caused this person to finally crack and commit this crime could have been recognized and made this, you know, and averted this tragedy and all. But it's always like after the fact. And that's why, you know, law enforcement, what are the points that we can come up with to engage law enforcement to be quicker on the response side? What can we do within the schools to make the opportunities better? Putting in boy, what is with me? I can't remember the name
Stop
of
the Bleed Kids.
Stop the Bleed Kit. It's, you know, that's another point. Even though I keep stumbling over it, the cost of a Stop the Bleed kit is somewhere around $50, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Now, come on, folks. Either individuals, small businesses, large corporations, for $50. If there's 10 schools in your community, come up with a donation of $500 in order to buy a Stop the Bleed kit for every school. And then go beyond that and try and get it for one for the cafeteria and one for the gymnasium and even one for every classroom, if possible. It's necessary. Mm-hmm. You know, it's your obligation to wrap your arms around that. We don't want to hear about another tragedy. And I hate to say it, but it's kind of like an accident waiting to happen. Once COVID is over and we start to reintegrate our schools, that dementia is going to start up again. There's going to be somebody out there that's unstable. And like you said, see something, say something. Don't let it sit, because you even have on your website about the 10 truths that I read that talk about the things that could have gone right that went wrong and that could have averted this tragedy. And we have to be aware of that going forward. So I know you have this Beach in a Box event coming up, and all. You have also done cycling events and some other events.
We've had a tennis fundraiser we do annually, and the Live for Alyssa benefit, which this year is virtually with the Beach in the Box. So get your tickets today. And we've had a race for school safety, bike for school safety, which we've done these events virtually since COVID. But you know what? We are, you know, taking donations, makeourschoolsafe.org at any time. But most importantly, you know, just to be more involved with the organizations, greatly appreciated. Please reach out. And to like our social media on Instagram, Make Our Schools Safe. And yeah.
You know, and moms and dads and kids that are listening and watching either live now or will catch up with this show after we conclude. If you have an event coming up and all, whatever that event, if it's a running event, walking event, like you say, a tennis event, give some thought to saying, hey, let's make part of the income from this event go to make our schools safe. Work with your PTAs. If you are a member of a PTA, consider Make Our Schools Safe as a donation, a means for some of the funds that you're raising for your event, targeted towards Make Our Schools Safe. It can only benefit your community. And what Lori started 3 years ago will not be in vain. It'll continue to grow. And instead of these events raising a few hundred or a few thousands, this should be 6 figures or 7 figures coming in, so that school districts all across this country know what it's all about. MakeOurSchoolsSafe.org. It's on the screen. Write it down, visit it. There's a lot of information there. And most importantly, I encourage you to go to the donate button and make a donation. And I would love for you to make a sizable donation, but even if it's a small donation, make it. Every donation counts. And I'm on your side, Lori. Boy, I'll be a spokesman. You recently had Gilbert Gottfried do a promo for you, and anytime you need somebody to promo Make Our Schools Safe, you give this guy a call.
Thank you.
Obviously you have things that are already, the wheels are already rolling on the Make Our Schools Safe, on the Alyssa's Law. Are there other things that you personally and also you and the organization are working on going forward?
So, like I talked about those layers of protection, I really think that mental health is a huge aspect of creating that culture of safety within schools. So Make Our Schools Safe is looking forward to supporting some legislation this next legislative session to have more money going into mental health. We need to reduce the ratios of school psychologists to the number of students that they serve in their schools. And so I'm happy to support legislators in that action to make mental health a priority for our children. And, we can, especially starting at the elementary school level, if we can reach these children when they're younger, we can prevent future tragedies from happening before they happen.
And as you say, a lot of recent events and everything have tried to put some of this onus on the police forces, that they need to increase their mental health units. They can only do so much. So if they can work on this, the PTAs can work on this, other parent teacher organizations, the school systems themselves can work on this, making sure that they have some people that are qualified on staff in the schools, train those teachers and administrators on some of those mental health issues to look for. Anything that can help avert another tragedy like happened in Parkland. And what's the old phrase? If you save one life, you save many. It's cyclical. We have to do our part. And if our part is simply opening up our wallets and taking out a $20 bill and saying, "Here, I'm going to give," so be it. Look at it this way, folks. We got a pretty large country who all is very incensed when tragedies happen, like what happened last week, like what happened months ago on our streets that launched the Black Lives Matter program. All of these are programs that we have to get behind in order to make things better. If 1 million people, there's 330 million people in this country. If 1 million people were to take a $20 bill out of their pocket to help support our schools, $20 million, what can that do? Stop and think about it. It's simple math. And do it. And you can start by doing it by going to saveourschools.org. And you can make
MakeOurSchoolsSafe.org.
Yeah, makeourschools.safe.org. Lori, you are an inspiration. You really are. You and Elon, your dear husband, and the people that have supported you over the years. And do you need more help in Florida? And how can people reach out to you again through the website or call
Yes,
you?
just go to the website, and our email address is on there. It's info@makeourschoolsafe.org. But yes, please reach out. It's so important that we be able to connect with people all across the country to get Alyssa's Law passed, to get panic buttons as a standard layer of protection in every school, for every student to be safer, to create that next layer of protection. And we want it to be an equitable safety for all students to be able to be safe, and that if there's a life-threatening emergency on campus, we're empowering our teacher to push that button and to know that it's directly linked to law enforcement to get help on the way right away. And if you want to start a Make Our School Safe club in your school so we can create that culture of safety, please send us an email and reach out. And please get your ticket for our virtual Live for Alyssa benefit on February 11th, 2021.
Everything is at the website. Please visit the website. And to all of those students who have lived through this tragedy and have the memories of their classmates, I wish them the very best going forward, because it's something that you, Lori and Elan and all of the other students from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School will live with for the rest of their lives. But at least they will honor the classmates and folks from the school that lost their lives on that tragedy. It'll be a blessing for them to know that they are being supported in this way, and making sure that we can go forward to make Alyssa's Law a national law. I just love the program that you have, trying to get other high schools to form clubs in order to make sure that their schools know about the benefits of making our schools safe and Alyssa's Law. And I think it's something that it's really easy to do. And kids, wrap your arms around it. Go out there, have a walk, and raise some funds for Alyssa's Law to be passed in your state. Talk to your congressman. Invite them to your school. Talk to them. Ask them, what are you doing to help make our schools safe from the political side? And then also talk with your law enforcement and see what they're doing from the law enforcement side. Talk to the school officials and find out what they plan to do from the school's side. There's a lot of angles. I said earlier, there's lots of pieces of this puzzle, but you know what? All the pieces will fit if we put them all together. I know I'm starting to sound like Lori, because I know that these are the kinds of things that she talks about constantly. And I believe in everything that you've done right from 3 years ago going forward. And I can't even begin to thank you enough for all that you have done and continue to do in Alyssa's memory, and also for the benefit of all of us going forward.
No, thank you, Stuart. It's so amazing being here today and having me the opportunity and giving me the opportunity to speak about Make Our Schools Safe. And, also for me, it's so important that we honor Alyssa and keep her memory alive. And, through the Live for Alyssa benefit, I will continue to do that, and, continue to be an advocate for students in safer schools, and try to have that voice for change and make an impact, and know that your voice is your power.
Absolutely. I again, I thank you. We spoke a little over 2 years ago, and not long after the tragedy. And I'm so pleased to see the advancements that you've made in making this a law. And you're a very approachable person. So folks, if you go on, send an email to Lori. She will get back to you. She'll answer any of your concerns and your questions. So Lori, thank you again. Love having you on the show. and being with you. God bless you and all, and to all the work that you're doing. And this is for Alyssa.
Thank you.
And that'll do it for another edition of Someone You Should Know with Lori Aladef, and makeourschools.safe.org. Visit it, do something about it. Go out, make it a good day. And thanks for joining us. And we'll see you again next week. And as I say, be yourself, because everyone else is taken. Bye.